Happy Monday, Flosstube. It is February the 11th. It's almost Valentine's Day. That's coming up at the end of this week, and I wish you a happy Valentine's Day. If you don't usually come back and visit on Friday for the Stitch with me, then I hope you have a great weekend planned, either by yourself or with your Valentine. So it is, pardon me, reaching for all my stuff today. I should have been a little more prepared. Let's start with the giveaway. It's Monday. It is Monday lunchtime, and the kids, you might hear the kids outside playing. Nicholas's school, my kid's school is right next door. As you may remember from last week when my son was called to the office while I was recording, and those of you who weren't watching the screen when I edited in what had happened, just a little quick update. My husband had picked him up to take him on his Meals on Wheels delivery. So that's why he was called to the office, not because he'd been a bad kid. So he wasn't busted on Flosstube. Olivia B left me that comment that poor kid to be busted on Flosstube. So that was pretty funny, but all was well. He's fine. He wasn't in trouble. Okay, so let's start with a giveaway. Because it's Monday, let's do a giveaway. These happen over on our Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid. And, my name's Caroline. Welcome to all new viewers and subscribers. Thank you for joining me. Sorry I didn't start with that at the beginning. I think I'm a little scattered today. You're probably going to notice that. I apologize in advance. So welcome. We do a giveaway every Monday. It happens over on the Facebook group, the Friday Off the Grid Facebook group. I do a Because Monday heading on the post, and then you can just leave me a comment on that post, and then every following Monday we pull the name. So last week's giveaway was a design from Lila's Studio. This little bit of loveliness, and it's called Spring is Here. Spring is here. I think I said the same thing last week. No matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. Now we are due for some nasty weather here over the next couple of days, and I think that that's the same for many parts of North America over the next couple of days. So good luck to everybody. Stay warm, stay safe. I had 250 comments on last week's Because Monday post. The comment number that was chosen from the random number generator was number 131. So the winner of last week's draw was Katrina McNeely. So congratulations, Katrina. If you will please message me your information, I will get this in the mail to you. So congratulations. Okay, so we need a new giveaway. This is a full little kit. For those of you who have brand new babies or are expecting babies or have grandchildren of your very own, this is the draw for you. This is a pair of Sweetheart bloomers. I'm sorry, it's not a pair. Well, you call underwear a pair, right? So I guess it's a pair. That's always... Anyways, let's not get down that rabbit hole, Caroline. Okay, so this is a kit by Charles Craft called Sweetheart Bloomers. And this is a full kit, so this is the giveaway for this week. It is, I have to show you the picture on the back because, can you see that little baby? That makes me laugh. With a big bit of cross stitch on its backside. So, super cute. So the Aida, it's a 14 count Aida. The size on the bloomer says 6 to 12 months. Royal Classic Aida stitchable panel. The stitching area is 2.5 by 6 by 6.5. The Aida is 100% polyester, but the bloomers part says that it's 100% cotton, just so you know. So that's going to be the part that's cotton, and that's going to be the part that's the polyester, the Aida that you're stitching on. And everything that you need is included in the kit, I believe. I'm assuming the floss is in there. I'm not going to open it. This is a sealed package, so I'm not going to open it up to check it out. But I see a pair of bloomers and I see a pattern in there, so we should be good to go. I will put this post up on the Facebook group as soon as this video is uploaded. And if you'd like a chance to win this, just leave me a comment and I'll mail it to you. Someone did, I might not hit the like button on all of the comments that people leave me on the Facebook giveaway post, but someone did mention, and I'm sorry I can't remember your name, but they were in the UK and they mentioned, oh, I'm probably not eligible because I'm in the UK. Everybody's eligible. I will mail anywhere, so it doesn't matter where you live. Please enter, and if this is something that you want, I send all over the world. So I think all stitchers should have equal opportunity to win a prize. My small business Evertote pays the bills for me to mail these all over the place. So if you want to win it, doesn't matter where you live, I'll mail it anywhere. Okay, so that takes care of the Because Monday giveaway. And let's see, next, I was gonna lump all of my stitching together, but I'm kind of super excited to show you my show and tell first. So I'm gonna show you that, and then I'm gonna do the question segment, and then I will come back after the question segment to show you my whips that I'm currently working on, because I have a finish. I have a stitched finish. I finished over, it was on Friday night actually, I finished the Ginger Gerald Stories of the North Part 1. Ta-da! Whoops. And I know I'm using this against a plastic bag backdrop, so I apologize for the crinkling, but it's what I had handy in front of me, so, and I think it works quite well. So there you go. I finished it. So this is a 32 count linen in the dirty linen colorway, and I used 2 different skeins of Nancy's Victorian Motto sampler shop thread, but Gerald has charted this for DMC, so you can stitch this in whatever blues you want. You can use his stitched model, he stitched it in the DMC, so you can see exactly what the colors are that he charted it for in his shop model. So done and done. So there are some sections on here that are 2/2 stitching, so 2 threads over 2 linen threads, and you know I think you can pretty much tell. Let me hold it up nice and close. And then there is some 1/1 stitching, and those are the blueberries. So this little guy right there, and then all of these blueberries here. And this is what really slowed me down, because I found that with 1/1 stitching, I really had to get into a groove with it, because I wasn't really looking forward to it, because 32 count 1/1, it's very, very small. And I mentioned last week that my eyes are changing. I'm struggling with, you know, where to look what, and my lighting, and, you know, things are shifting, things are changing. So Friday night, I only had these 2 little chunks of blueberries left to do, and Friday night I thought, that's it, I am finishing this. So I sat down, I made a huge cup of coffee, I sat down and I said, I'm not even gonna get out of my chair until these are done. I got up once to use the washroom because the coffee was that big, but then I sat right back down again and I finished it. My husband even made dinner that night, so I didn't even have to make dinner for the family. It was lovely. And it's done. So now I look forward to doing part 2. And I might start part 2 in March. March or April, I'm not exactly sure. So there. Which means I was able to then finally sub in my other small piece. Since I'm working on 3 pieces per month, I was able to put a few stitches in my pin cushion design that I talked about last week. I only put in 6 stitches on that. I finished well, it was a few more than that, 9 stitches. I finished the length of floss that was stuck to the project. It's not worth even sharing it with you this week. So I'll try and put a little bit more work into that this weekend and share it with you again next week. So that's what I did on Friday with my 1/1. And as soon as I got into the groove of doing it, I thought, you know, this isn't so bad. I'm kind of liking it. And it was so cute that it was really encouraging for me to finish it. So I'm thrilled. Gerald, thank you for such a lovely pattern. And I'm really looking forward to having all 5 of these panels stitched. My plan is to finish them into a wall hanging. I have some of the seagull fabric left from the bags that I sold last summer, and I'm going to use some of that leftover fabric to sash in between the 5 designs, and I'm going to have it lengthways like this, and then use a dowel on the back, and then you know, a hanger of some sort. And someone asked me a while ago whether I was going to be doing the different colors like Gerald has charted them for. Every other one is with the blues, and then 2 and 4 will be using browns and golds. And yes, I am going to be using the browns and golds. I will most likely use 1 DMC and 1, I have a lot of leftover silk from my Cirque de Circle from many, many years ago. It's this beautiful gold, it's called Marque de Cirque by HDF Hand-Dyed Fibers, Vicki Clayton. I have a lot of leftover, and it's a perfect opportunity to use it up. So what I will probably do is I will use that gold color, and then I will look for a DMC cotton that the color will complement that gold. And I think that'll work quite well. So there you go. That's my show and tell. Yay, I finished something. All right. So next up is we have a new segment, and I have to give a shout out to Nan O, who wrote, she said it sounded great that we were going to have an Ask Caroline segment on Mondays. And so I guess that's, you know, it's simple. It says what it is. It's Ask Caroline. So what we're going to do is every Monday, I'm going to go through the comments from last Monday's video, and then we'll chat about anything today that has come up. And it also gives me a chance to go in and hit that like button on all of those really nice. You guys leave the best comments. I love it. So Nan O, thank you. You are responsible for naming the new section, the new segment, which is now going to be known as Ask Caroline. And it was funny because when I was thinking about this, I thought I should have some kind of funny hat or different pair of glasses that I put on for the Ask Caroline segment, like a dunce cap or something like that. I don't know. I certainly don't claim to have all of the answers by any stretch of the imagination. I just like to think of this as a discussion corner. So you ask me the question, if I don't know the answer, I'll ask it, and we'll, you know, get the community involved and try to figure out if we can help each other. Okay, so I'm just going to go in order through the way that I went through them this morning. The first one was Jemima, the rocking stitcher. And her first question was about Nicholas, whether he was in trouble. And so I already spoke about that before. I figured that a lot of you would have your eyes down on your stitching and probably wouldn't see my text. Sometimes I put in funny stuff while I'm editing because it keeps that editing job fun for me. But if you missed it, his dad picked him up from Meals on Wheels. It's all good. And then, more importantly, the second part of her question was she wanted to know about my whips and how many whips do you have on the go, and would you ever consider doing a whip parade? I don't know. And no. Those are the easy answers to your questions. So first of all, thank you for the question. How many whips do I have on the go? Frankly, I don't really know. And I'm good with that. In fact, I'm better with that than knowing. I suspect a good answer would be I have less than some and more than many. That's about the best answer I can give. I have lots. I don't put a number on it. I don't count them because that makes me anxious. Knowing the number, I think, would make me anxious. And I don't want to be anxious about my hobby. I also don't want to feel bad about it. I don't want to feel guilty about it. I'm not saying that anyone should. I'm not saying that you should. If you have like 100 whips or 200 whips or 300, I don't care. I'm not saying I have that many. I don't know. If I were to go around the house and find all of the whips that I have squirreled away in drawers, you know, like an ornament over here or upstairs in my bedroom closet, I know for a fact there's that, you know, that the Happy Christmas one, the Prairie Schooler Happy Christmas done on the black fabric with the Santa and the sleigh and the Happy Christmas and all the cute little houses. I know for a fact that that is tucked upstairs in my bedroom closet. And there are other whips tucked around the place, squirreled away. That's why this podcast is called From the Stash Pile, because I'm trying to make a concerted effort to derive pleasure from what I already have and finish what I already have. But I'm also okay with the fact that I have a lot on the go, because it has brought me a lot of joy starting those new things and kitting them up and dreaming about them and the whole process. So how many do I have? I don't really know. So that leads me into, would I ever do a whip parade? No, because I am not that kind of a stitcher. And I love watching whip parades. Like, you know, just off the top of my head, because I watched it not that long ago, was Jessie Marie's whip parade. And, you know, just putting that on and just being able to listen to someone chatter about their stitching and their projects and the details about their projects, I loved it. And it kept me company and, you know, motivated to keep doing what I was doing. But that is someone who is super organized about their whips, and they know the details. I am not that kind of person. There are things in my life that I have to be organized about. My business, for one, I have to keep track of things. But when it comes to my stitching, I'm not so good at writing down details. I try, but it often just doesn't happen. And so that's why when I'll show something that's 10 years old and someone will ask, what kind of fabric is that? And I'll think, well, it's a 32 count something. Perhaps, maybe it's a 28. So I'll get out my ruler and I'll measure it and I'll figure out what count it is. But I often don't have the finer details. And frankly, for myself, I don't really, see, that's a bad statement to make, that I don't really care. Because I do care, because people who want to replicate that will ask me and they'll want to know. But for myself, I get so involved in the enjoyment of actually working on the project, I don't really know. So I'm sorry, Jemima, that a whip parade is not in my future. If you're curious, last year during May, instead of doing Stitch Mania, I did Whip Mania. And I think I missed 3 or 4 days. And a couple of those days I did the same project on 2 days. For the entire month of May, I pulled a different whip from my pile and I put in a couple of stitches every day. So I did Whip Mania instead of Stitch Mania. And I had enough. I probably could have kept going for another month or more or less. I'm not sure. So maybe that gives you an idea of how many there are. Quite a few. That's okay. Thank you for the question. Okay. Next up is Claire, and Claire left me a lovely comment about her Evertote bag, and I just wanted to first of all say thank you. And she had taken it to her LNS for a Super Bowl stitch in, and apparently her friends that were at her LNS were very interested to see the bag, and she said some really lovely things about the bag. Which was very kind and very appreciated. So thank you, Claire. But she brought up a good point that I'm not doing a shop update today. Well, I'll get to that after. Not everybody always makes it to the ends of these videos. So there's some information about Evertote that I just want to kind of sneak in right now so that I make sure that the most people who care about it might hear this information. And it has to do with customs, duties, exchange, etc. Right now, and this, because Claire brought it up, Claire is in the States, in the US. Our exchange rate right now with the US is very much in your favor. So our dollar is low compared to yours. Your dollar is quite strong against ours at the moment. So the exchange rate, the cost on my bags, because I price my bags in Canadian dollars, that's why when you look on evertote.com, you might think, why are these prices so weird? Why do they have like, I don't know, $27.32? They're it's strange pricing for you, but that's why, because I price them in Canadian dollars, and then you see the rate with the exchange. And at the moment, the exchange rate is in your favor. So Claire, thank you for bringing that up. And if you're in the States and you were thinking of having a look, I appreciate you having a look. That's the good news. The bad news is for my customers in the UK. I have known for a while that you have to pay an import and customs fee. I'm not exactly sure the ins and outs. I'm not exactly sure of the exact details, but I knew it certainly wasn't free, and it wasn't cheap. It was a little bit costly, but I didn't know how costly until I had a lovely customer leave me a very specific comment on exactly how much the Royal Mail charged her to collect her bag from the post office. And frankly, it was rather expensive. So so that you have the details, it was a large bag it was a wedge tote that she'd ordered. The wedge tote set is the same cost as the large flat. So it's about $57. So 57 Canadian dollars is approximately 33 pounds at the moment. So on a 33-pound order, the customs fee was 18 pounds. Okay, 18 pounds. That's a lot. So I am still more than happy to send to the UK, but I just wanted to make sure that you were well aware of the cost of bringing the product into your country, what it's actually going to cost you, because those fees are not covered by my shipping, and they weren't covered by, when I would send it through Canada Post. It has nothing to do with sending through a different shipper. It has to do with the Royal Mail charging you an import customs and duty on your order when you bring it into the country. It's kind of the same here in Canada, though in Canada it's sometimes hit and miss. I have ordered yarn before from Indie Dyers in the States, and I'll get one order of yarn in and I won't be charged anything. And then I'll get another order of yarn in and I'll be charged $20 customs and duty. No rhyme or reason. So I would fully expect that if you order a bag and you live in the UK, that I would expect those fees to happen. And I apologize, there's really nothing I can do about it. It's better that you know up front. And in fact, because obviously I don't expect everyone to see me talking about this right now, I'm going to make it a policy now. If you're in the UK and you order a bag, you will get a message from me telling you, hey, this is going to happen. Are you okay with this? And if you're not, you will have the option to cancel your order, because that's a lot of money and not really fair. I guess it's fair to the customs. It's fair. It's fair and it's not fair. You know what I mean? It is what it is, but it's very expensive. Okay, so that's what I had to say on that. And Claire, thank you for your comment. The next thing was, we had a conversation last week on Monday about Dina, Half Stitch Cross Stitch, who had a question about knitting versus crochet. And there were a bunch of really, really supportive, great comments about crochet versus knitting, knitting versus crochet, what's easier, what's not. And generally the consensus is it's up to you, and they're both equal or not equal. It really depends on how you learn and what you want to do, what fabric you want to produce with it, and basically lots and lots of practice. And we're all clever crafters, and we can figure these things out. So lots of great information in there about crochet versus knitting. So everyone who left me a comment about that, for Dina, thank you. That was great. Okay, next up, we had a Blackwork question on last week's episode for Paula. Paula had been wondering about doing some Blackwork, and we had a couple of answers. So just to leave these here, the first one was from Louisa, who said she also mentioned Liz Almond, who I mentioned last week as well. Lovely, very super talented Blackwork designer. If you've seen any Blackwork in any of the popular cross-stitch magazines, it's usually designed by, and I'm sorry, I call her Liz, it's Elizabeth Almond. She's brilliant. Her designs are gorgeous. So she has a Facebook group. Louisa says that she belongs to something called the Blackwork Journey, Elizabeth Almond Designs on Facebook. And so that Blackwork Journey, that rings a bell because I believe it's the same name as her website where you can go on. I know for a fact there are hundreds of patterns, Blackwork patterns, on her Blackwork Journey website. There's also a spectacular project called Save the Stitches. And if you're working on this, you know exactly what I mean. I've seen Elizabeth Almond's Save the Stitches. I've seen it in real life, close up. I stared at it. It's stunning. It is beyond belief, beyond belief. You look at it and you think, oh man, that is talent. It's shockingly good. And she's just so nice too. She's just so lovely. So Blackwork Journey, Elizabeth Almond, she's got a ton of stuff on her website, and this Facebook group sounds pretty cool. And I'm pretty positive that there are free designs as well as for purchase designs on her website. And at least there were a few years ago. The other comment came from Patsy, who left a comment also for Paula talking about a Blackwork SAL, a Blackwork Stitch Along that she participated in last year with a few friends. And it was from Lakeside Needle Crafts. I'm trying to make sure that I read my chicken scratch here properly. So I'm going to double check that. But if I get it wrong, it's in the comments under last week's video. Lakeside Needle Crafts or Crafter? No, it's got to be Lakeside Needle Crafts. And it's a simple Blackwork tangram. And I can't read my handwriting there. It's a free chart on the web. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's what I intended to write there. It's a free chart on their website. A simple Blackwork tangram that is a free pattern on their website. Lakeside Needle Crafts. Oh, this is terrible. Next week I'm going to try to write my notes a little more neatly. Okay, so next up is a question from Carol. And Carol wants to know, I thought this was a fun question, do stitchers stitch in public like knitters do? I don't know of any stitchers in my area. Do stitchers stitch in public? Yes. Oh, yes. There is, I know for a fact there's an International Stitch in Public Day. They're usually at the, I am not a sport watcher, so I'm probably going to sound like a complete idiot when I say something about baseball. But I know that there are like stitching baseball watching days where you go to the park and you watch baseball and you bring your stitching, and I know they do it for knitting as well. It has a name. I don't know what it is because I've never participated in it, but I've seen pictures on Instagram of other stitchers enjoying those particular activities. So I'm going to leave that up for someone else to leave us some comments below. What day is it that's International Stitch in Public Day? Because I know it exists. And I know that there are small little pockets of stitchers who will meet up with friends. There was a small group that recently, it was the stitching day, and they went to Panera and they stitched all day, which sounds pretty nice to me. So great questions. And yeah, stitchers stitch in public. And if you don't know of any stitchers in your area, Carol, if you want, head over to the Facebook group and post, if you feel comfortable doing this, post where you live, and maybe we can find you a stitching friend or two. You never know. Next up was Polly. Polly wanted to know what my floor frame is. So I now have two. I've got one downstairs, which is the Lowry that I use for Q-snaps. I'm loving it. And the second one that I filmed my Stitch With Me videos on is the Hearthside Craftworks floor frame, Mark II floor frame. They are a Canadian company. They're from Calgary, Alberta, but they ship worldwide. Their frames are not cheap. So if it's not in your budget, you know, it's not in your budget. But if you're looking to spend a bit of money on an investment piece, it's well worth the cost. Okay, so next up we have a question from Pamela. Pamela wants to know about anchoring floss on linen and whether I prefer the loop method or anchoring it under a few completed stitches. Moment of truth, I have never used the loop method. I don't, from above, right? You can do it from above. I don't know how to do it. I've never tried it. So the answer to that would be no. I have used a single strand of DMC and had the loop at the bottom, but I have had it from underneath the fabric and I've started a stitch that way, but I don't often do that. My favorite way to anchor floss on linen, it depends whether it's 1 or 2 strands. If it's 1 strand and I'm starting either at the very, very beginning and I have nothing else around it to anchor it to, or you've got like those peppered stitches around where it's 1 stitch here and 2 stitches there. Modern folk embroidery has a lot of that where, you know, there's little 4 stitches motif here and 1 little thing here. I'll use a pin stitch, something called a pin stitch, and there's lots of tutorials on YouTube to figure out how to do that. I think Peacock and Fig has a particularly good one if memory serves. I'll try to remember to talk about the pin stitch on Friday when I have my linen, and I'll try to get the camera a little closer so that you can maybe see it. We'll see. Sometimes doing those things makes me a little nervous because I feel like I might mess it up, and then what help is that? Or do I like to anchor it under a few completed stitches? Yes, I love anchoring under a few completed stitches if they're there. That's my preferred way to do it. It's called a Bargello tuck, and you take a little sip of stitches from the back, 3 or 4. I pull my thread all the way through so that the end is completely tucked under, neat and tidy. And then I take 1 more little tiny stitch at the end going in the same direction. So it's like you're tucking the thread around the last stitch. And that anchors it in the back when you want to start. And then I will do that again when I end the thread. Tends to make the back neat and tidy. Okay, thank you for your question. And then the next thing I wrote down was Rose talking about my bifocals. That it's time for bifocals, but I already talked about that. And then Cross Stitcher 2 wanted me to talk a little bit about stitching on 40 count fabric. So I'm going to save that discussion. I hope this is okay. I'm going to save that, your question about discussing stitching on 40 count fabric. I'm going to save that for Friday. So I hope you'll come back and watch on Fridays. I'm going to show you my whips now, and True Blue is first up. This one here. And so once I finished my Ginger Gerald Sal, I got into this one here. This one's on the frame now. And I'm using DMC because, hello, that's a lot of DMC. And so thank heavens this wasn't charted for anything else. If this was charted for specialty flosses, you can bet your bottom dollar I would be doing a conversion, because no way. That is crazy town. So it's DMC on a, my whip is, where is my whip? It's right here. Okay, so I made some progress. So here's where I am now on my True Blue. No, that's not good. Let me get my plastic bag here again. So, as you can see, I'm working on the door panel. Okay, now I'm going to bring my fabric up nice and close. So can you see that? Looks like Ada, doesn't it? This is a fabric that is very, 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 very similar to Aida. It's called Congress cloth. And it is a stiff fabric. It's quite stiff. And the holes are definitely reminiscent. They are very Aida-esque. And this is my favorite fabric to use on a design that's like this, that's full coverage. Full coverage and tiny, because Congress cloth, you can get it so that it's super, super, super teeny tiny. And if I could have gotten Aida that was this small at the time that I purchased this, I would have bought that, because that's the effect that I want. I want those holes to be easy to see. I want the fabric to be nice and firm so that it holds the stitches well in place. For me, you know, people who stitch in hand sometimes prefer a softer fabric, or it doesn't have to be if you stitch in hand, it can be anything. But I wanted that structure of the fabric to hold those stitches nice and cleanly. So if my eyes continue to go the way that they're going and I chose a project like this in 10, 15 years, I would probably go up to an 18 count Aida, and then a 16 count Aida, and then a 14 count Aida with 3 strands of floss, because that's going to give me the effect that I want, and that's the tool in my toolbox that works to provide the look that I want. Not because it's easier or less than or beginner or anything like that, but simply because it achieves the look that I want. So I hope that made sense. And I hope that I have never ever made anyone feel less than or bad in any way, shape, or form about using Aida or DMC, because I think they're pretty great. So, okay, that's one of my whips. The other whip is my Modern Folk Embroidery Mysteries Stitch Along Seasons Sal from 2018. I'm going to include a little video clip here because I made some progress over the weekend from Friday's video. So I'm going to put that in right here. So here we go. You can see that I completely finished the left side of the month of February, right here, down in here, finish that, all this motif right here, it's all done. And then I came over here and I started the bird. So I'm really hoping that this weekend to get another big chunk of progress done on the month of February and finish that up as soon as possible. I'm loving it. 40 count fabric, R&R Reproductions, 1 thread of discontinued Vicki Clayton hand-dyed fibers, 1 thread over 2 linen squares. That's a really good shot there of the really light variegation in the thread. It's subtle, just beautiful. And I love that little bird. Look at that bird. Cute. So I'm very excited to have a few more birds over here. And it got way too late last night and I had to stop in the middle of a thread. So maybe I'll get back to that tonight. Finish up that bird. Okay, that's it. Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. I love it. Okay, my very last question of the day comes from Meline. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. I want to say it with the most beautiful French accent that I possibly can, but I feel like if I tried, it just wouldn't work, and maybe it's not how you pronounce your name. So I hope Meline is close enough and you have a beautiful name. She asks about, and this is a little bit about yarn and knitting, and it's very brief, so please thank you for letting me pop this in here into my Flosstube video. Just like last week, I talked a little bit about my sock knitting, so that was kind of fun. Maylene wants to know about, so this is a product called Dishy by Knit Picks. Knit Picks is an online yarn and needle retailer, very inexpensive products that work really well. And so for beginner knitters, or even not beginner knitters, I'm not a beginner knitter and I still love ordering from Knit Picks. They have good quality products for the cost. And so when we started the Let's Teach Ginger Gerald How to Knit, and Knit Picks doesn't know who I am, by the way. I don't receive any kickback from Knit Picks, even though I'm going to send lots of people over there, hopefully, to buy their yarn. When we did the knitting tutorial series of videos, the very first thing that we learned how to knit were dishcloths. And so this was the yarn that I recommended people buy if they didn't live close to a Joann's or a Michael's or you know, a knitting shop where they could buy yarn easily, was to just order it online from Knit Picks because it's inexpensive and easy to find. Maylene wants to know how to find the center of the ball, because when you take the wrapper off, you can find the end that's on the outside, but there's a way that you can find the other end that's on the inside here and then use it as a center pull ball. And it's a really neat little trick. And so I said that I would show it on the podcast today. So basically, I stick my fingers in the center of the ball, and you're gonna just feel around a little bit, and you just take, now this will be quite funny if this doesn't work well, because, well, this is real life, right? So we're gonna find a center pull ball. So I've got a little bit of stuff pulled out here. I'm gonna give that a tug, and I can already tell that this is not gonna go well. Let's try it from the other side. Yeah, this one wasn't gonna be an easy ball. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna look at that. See how it's got two, now, there. So I've pulled out, I found the center. And I just wiggled around in there until I found a little section in there that was loose. And then I just pulled it out from the center, and then I've got this yarn, and then all I do is, and sometimes you might get a much bigger chunk than that pulled out of the center. That's fine too. Just wrap it around the outside of the ball and just use that yarn first, and then once you get to the part there, then you just pull it from the center, and that keeps you can keep your ball band on the ball then, and it keeps it neat and tidy. So it's a neat little trick to have, and that's it. If you buy yarn that looks like this, you know, if you've purchased silk from Silks for You, their silk will come like this. Don't try to do that trick with this, because these are two different things. This is a cake or a ball, and this is a hank or a skein of yarn, and this needs to be wound up carefully using a different method than this. This one you can basically just start to knit. This one you have to prepare and then knit. So I can talk more about that if you're interested at all. Okay, so that was the last question from last week's video, and thank you so much. That was really fun. You guys leave great comments, questions. It's really fun. Very, very briefly for Evertote, little shop update, teeny tiny shop update, because I already talked about customs and duties and all that malarkey. This week I am working on custom orders from people I spoke with last week about chickadee bags, and there's a few seed catalog bags as well that I'm making into different, like I'm making a few of them into different bags. And anyways, you don't need to know those details. So I'm sewing, if I spoke with you last week about custom orders, I am sewing those all this week. They will be in the mail by Friday. All of the Etsy orders that were ordered from the last shop update, those are now all out in the mail. There have been a few other orders on the Etsy site since then. The Canada bags, those will also be going out this week by Friday. So I thought I would just show you the next fabric that I'm going to be working with. And if you are interested in this fabric, feel free to message me through the Etsy app. And you can find that www.evertote.com. I love this one. I think I need a bag out of this one. And this one reminds me, this is similar to a fabric I had last year. And in fact, I still have a little bit. I have a little bit left right here. Do you remember this one from last year? This was a bag I made for Elena B. And so this next fabric reminds me a little bit of that one, but it's different. Okay, so you ready? It's upside down. And it's still upside down. There. That's better. So this is the most beautiful rifle paper fabric, and it's like a brushed cotton, so it feels a little bit thicker. It's a little thicker than a regular quilting cotton, and it's just got this really soft, it's not like suede soft or anything. A brushed cotton is the best way I could describe it. And this is from the Rifle Paper Co. Wonderland collection, so the Alice in Wonderland collection. And this was one of those beautiful, oops, sorry, another phone call. That seems to be happening every time I try to record now, and I get cut off very unexpectedly. I apologize. So this is the fabric that I'm going to be working with. I have enough to make a fair number of bags. I would love to pair this with a denim. So this is the denim that I'm going to pair that with. I can make mediums, I can make larges, I can make wedge totes, and I am going to make one or two large wedge totes as well, because with a strap, because I think that will be beautiful. I haven't chosen the liner fabric yet, but it will probably be a pale purple or a pale pink on the inside. And all of these bags, this Tea Party, Alice in Wonderland Tea Party fabric will come with, now where is it? I've got all of my stuff spread out all over the place here. One moment, please. A cupcake charm. Crinkle, crinkle. So hopefully you can see this. So it's a tiny little cupcake. And that will be the zipper pull charm that comes with these bags. So if you are in love with this fabric and you see this before it is up in the shop, feel free to message me anytime. And if no one messages me about it, I'm just going to start making bags and putting them in the shop because I love it. I thought that I might make a couple of small bags out of this fabric that doesn't have the accent. So this will just be just the main print in that small bag. It's kind of like iPad sized, and I will maybe do just a few of those, because there are lots of people who just stitch with small hoops and do smaller projects where they don't need a big bag. They just need a small bag, like a Lizzie Kate or something that's just small and you just want a small one, or you just want a home for your iPad. So those small bags, and I have one or two left in the shop now if you want an idea of the actual dimensions of the bag that it comes in. So, oh, such a beautiful fabric. I love it. So this is the next one that I'm working with. And you know, now that I've got this one off the shelf too, maybe I'll make up a few of those too. We'll see. That's it. I had way more to say today than I thought. I was sure that today was going to be a 15-minute episode. Once again, I have talked my way into, I think, a full hour. So thank you for, if you're still watching this video, thank you for staying with me. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for visiting and leaving me such great comments and questions. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday. I hope you'll join with me and everyone else who stitches in the Stitch With Me group on the Friday Facebook group, Friday Off the Grid. We really have a ton just amazing stitchers over there. And it's a great, great conversation. So feel free to leave comments. Thank you for being kind. Thank you for, courteous and kindness and nice words and all that good stuff. So have a great week. Happy stitching. I'll see you on Friday. Take care.